A little while after they left, we got a call from Amy saying they had tied up Kenny's hands and legs and put him in the bathtub while he continued to blood-curdlingly scream. So this is a bit of a trip horror story that took place about a year ago. It's not a trip I was on, but a trip I had to experience secondhand. I was with my friend Tony at his mom's house with a group of, say, 4 to 5 people. We had bought 9 grams of weed earlier that night, and it started off as just a smoke session. After smoking a little bit, Tony got a call from one of his friends, who we'll call Amy, saying she wanted to come and bring her best friend and another friend that none of us knew too well. Tony agreed and told them to come over. Amy brought her best friend, who we'll call H, and her other friend that none of us knew, we'll call Kenny. The night was starting off fine. We were chilling in Tony's room, smoking a couple blunts, smoking very heavily from our bong, and then someone from the group had the bright idea to play the smoking game, football, with the bong. And if you don't know how football works, someone starts by taking a hit and then passes it to the next person while still holding in the hit, and it goes to the next person who does the same thing, but they can't exhale until the person before them in rotation has taken their hit. I've played this game before. We call it baseball. Anyways, we played several, at least 3 to 4 rotations of that. We were about halfway through with the 4 to 5 rotation when I noticed Kenny was being very quiet and started to shake and twitch in his chair. It started to freak everyone out a little bit, and I asked him, "Hey, are you okay?" He responded with a fast, violent head shake and started to twitch and shake very fast. After a couple seconds of us trying to ask him what was wrong, he leaps very high out of his chair, lands face first on half of the bed, spills the entire tray of weed, and then gets into a fetal position on the floor, making a very loud, blood-curdling screaming noise. At this point, everyone in the room was freaking out and concerned. So me and Tony get up and try to help him up, but he just goes dead weight, limp, while continuing to scream. At this point, he had been screaming so much that it had woken Tony's mom. She came to the room and stood at the doorway in shock and panic. Kenny continued screaming at the top of his lungs and shouting things like, "I'm falling through floors," and "I'm dead, you're dead, we're all dead," just going completely crazy. Damn, this is just from smoking weed? Tony's mom was very worried and kept asking Kenny if he was alright. No response besides screaming. Keep in mind, he's still on the ground this entire time. He then proceeded to get on his hands and knees and lunge face first into the door frame as hard as he could 3 times. At that point, we all got very concerned for his safety and ours. Amy and H got up and started to try and pick Kenny up by his arms, and he got onto his feet and started swinging his arms, throwing Amy and H into the wall very hard. Holy shit. This is from smoking weed? He then drops back to his hands and knees and makes eye contact with Tony's mom and attempts to swing at her. After that, her boyfriend comes from their bedroom, grabs Kenny by the throat, and throws him outside the front door. Absolutely. Good job, boyfriend of mom. We didn't want the neighbors to call the cops, so me and Tony picked him up and tossed him into the back of Amy and H's car, where they said they would take him to Amy's house until he calms down. A little while after they left, we got a call from Amy saying they had tied up Kenny's hands and legs and put him in the bathtub while he continued to blood-curdlingly scream. So we were all worried for the next hour or so and just all panicked and confused what had just happened. Amy calls us after about an hour and a half after leaving and says that Kenny had thrown up on himself and she saw 2 acid tabs in his vomit. Okay, it all makes sense now. This kid had never taken acid before and decided to start off by taking 2 pretty potent tabs, going to a house he's never been to, and hanging around a group of people he's never met, and didn't tell anyone he had taken acid. The next day comes and we're all still a little freaked out, but Kenny had denied ever taking any acid and claimed we gave him laced weed. So moral of the story, don't trust people and don't take acid for the first time without telling anyone around you. Damn, what a story. I was like kind of hesitant to read this story because it's kind of short. That was a good story. Appreciate you, Austin. I didn't want to say your full name, but I saw what you wrote in the beginning too. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you for watching. I'm glad, and thanks for sharing that story. Yeah, moral of the story is just don't hang out with people you don't know. That's me. I'm 28 years old. I'm very introverted. I don't like people I don't know coming to my house, bottom line. For the most part, I don't even like or let people who are friends of my friends or friends of my family come to my house, because shit like that happens. If some kid had try to choke somebody out and then try to swing at my wife, he'd be lucky if all that happened was me grabbing him by the neck and throwing him out of my house. That'd be that'd be a lucky outcome to that. That's a crazy ass story. I was gonna say, this doesn't sound like he was just smoking weed. Wow. You also have to consider how much you trust this Amy chick, because she's the one who told you that there was 2 acid tabs in his vomit. One, it'd probably be pretty hard to see 2 acid tabs in somebody's vomit. 2, why is she looking at his vomit so much? Maybe she had to clean it up. That makes sense. But I don't know. It makes a lot of sense that he'd be on acid like that. I've seen people respond to acid in that way. But damn, that shit's crazy. I guess you kind of got to go through situations like this to really realize that you can't trust people. You can't allow people who you don't know to enter your shelter and your home with your family when you don't know them or trust them. You know, they can be violent, they can be thieves, they can, you know, even if they don't steal something in that moment, they can be like, hey, damn, this guy has all this stuff in his room. Like, damn, I know exactly where this room is. Maybe I won't fucking come and steal this shit, but I know a couple guys who hit licks all the time. Maybe I'll tell them the address and exactly where all his shit is, and they'll go and steal some shit, and then they'll just shoot me $50 or something like that. That does happen. You have to think that way. And I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with having, you know, friends over. There's nothing wrong with even having people you don't know over, but you need to be careful, and you need to focus, and you need to not get so fucked up. And not to say that you did in this situation, but I'm saying that there's been times where I allowed people to come to my house. I get so fucked up that I can't even be in control of my own home and protect my home and there's random people walking around my house. That is ridiculous, and that will never happen again in my life. And this is again another story that reminds me of that, and I appreciate that. The fact that this kid Kenny denied taking acid is kind of weird. He's probably just terrified, maybe upset and embarrassed. But damn, he definitely deserved that. This is the type of situations that kids need to understand can happen. And see, when again, we discussed this on my live stream recently. Like, I have no sympathy for you at all if you become violent or aggressive, sexual, anything like that. If that is who you become when you take too much acid or psychedelics or drugs, I have no compassion for you at all. Especially if you're being aggressive or sexual or violent towards the people around me. That is not okay. I will call the cops on you, and I will not put you in a bathtub and tie you up. They're lucky they didn't get fucking kidnapping charges because of that. That is ridiculous. I don't give a shit how close anybody is in my family. You could be my goddamn brother. You start getting fucking crazy and you can't handle your shit. The thing is calling the cops is the best option. Usually they're not going to be like, you took acid 2 hours ago, you're going to jail. You know, that's not how it works. The best option for Kenny in that situation would have been to call the cops, have them strap him down on a stretcher, take him to the hospital, get him a fucking IV drip. I forget what else they give you to come down from acid. I can't think of what it is. Somebody in the comments let me know. I know there's this certain thing they give you when you need to come down from a really strong trip like that. But they give you that literally within like 30 minutes, you're basically back to normal. 45 minutes, you're back to normal. You're still probably tripping balls, but you're not like in that crazy mind state. That would have been the best outcome for him. They might have given him resources to like look, you know, to understand more of what he went through. I don't know. He might that in my opinion, that's the best thing you could do. But I do understand not wanting to be in trouble, not wanting to get your friends in trouble, not, you know, things like that. You get scared, you get nervous, but going forward, guys, I'm telling you, if somebody is acting like that, the best thing that you can do for them is to call the cops. I'm telling you, especially if they're getting violent. You know, you don't want to be hurt. You don't want them to hurt themselves. And you need somebody there who deals with this type of shit all the time. The cops and the EMTs, they know what to do. They deal with this shit all the time. And it's not like you're doing the right thing by doing the responsible thing. So if anything from this story, let's take that into consideration. Let's treat that as the moral of the story. One, understand that you really can't trust anybody, and to be careful with allowing others into your home and around your family. And two, if shit goes down like that, remove yourself from the situation. Do not tie anybody up and put them in a bathtub. And do the right thing, even if it is the hard thing. That was a good story, man. Appreciate you, Austin. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have a trip story that you'd like me to share, go ahead and email me, audible484@gmail.com. You could either write it out, you can send me a video submission. There's a bunch of different ways we can always just discuss in the email. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more psychedelic content like this, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.